Great. Thank you so much for joining back. I mean, I was just trying to retweet the earlier thing. I thought nobody would be able to otherwise trace, but you are all so nice that you found it out on your own. So thank you. I hope Amrita also joins. Hi, Parna.
Hi. Hi again.
Hi, hi. Hi, Anna.
Hello, hello. How are you all
Hi,
doing?
Balna. We all are good. How are you?
Going on by God's grace, and yeah, just trying to balance a few things. That is all. Hectic mine as well. Saturday was hectic, but yes, always I wait for this evening to meet you all and really have some good time speaking. Yeah. So let's wait some time for everyone to join. I don't know about Kitivas, Suman. Srikar is not going to join today because he is not well, he informed. Anna, are you trying to say something? I'm not able to hear you, but I am able to hear some noise from your end.
Actually, the voice is very much low. It is not audible.
Mine or everyone's?
Everyone's.
Okay, then raise your volume because Shagun, you can hear me clearly?
Yes, I can. I can.
Yes, I can also hear you clearly. So it seems that Anna, something wrong with your earphone or volume of your phone. So just try to raise
I
that.
kept it maximum. I will just again go out and again come again.
Okay, sure, sure.
Hi, Harsh.
Welcome, Harsh.
Hi Sonali.
Hi, hi. Thank you for joining. Parna, I have added you as the speaker. Let me know if you haven't received the invitation. Hmm.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh no, Harsh. I was just saying to Parna that I have sent her the invitation to speak so
Okay,
that
okay,
she
okay.
can
Sorry.
also become speaker. Yeah, no problem. Parna is having some network issues like the previous day, getting disconnected. News is that today I not manage any guest poet for our space. The new section that I had introduced in this
I think
second season is back
there's some
for me
network issue
because
from your end.
there is network issue.
I mean, I'm not able to hear you properly. Shagun, can you, like, are you able to hear me?
I am able to hear you. Can you?
Oh, I thought like Sonali was not clear enough. Some words were missing
Yes,
by.
yes, yes. Yeah, because in the start I was the co-host and the this thing got disconnected, and later we both actually I also joined again. So I think now I am audible, and I think yes, Sonali from Sonali's side it is network issue.
Oh, still now, am I not audible clearly?
I am able to hear you. Rest I think was not able to hear you.
Yeah, it's clear now.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. So, I mean, that's sinusoidal, right? I mean, the network issues. Please do let me know anytime you find difficulty in hearing. Thank you so much, Harsh, for flagging that. And Anna, I hope you are able to hear now.
No, actually, till I was a speaker, I was able to hear properly. Now, after being a speaker, I'm not able to. Same problem. Very
Being
low
a
tone.
being a speaker, you are not able to hear.
No, when I was just listener, I was able to hear properly. After becoming a speaker,
Hmm.
It is very tone is very much low.
नहीं ये क्या हो रहा है? I also cannot hear you properly now. It seems it's breaking. I don't know what to do. I mean, the space, the earlier link had already crashed once, so I recreated this one. Okay, Anna got disconnected. So it seems at Anna's end also there is some issue. Shagun, you were able to
No, your voice is
hear me?
cracking in between a lot, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
now if I leave, what will happen? You know, the same thing. It will
Yeah. So how to go about it?
this will get ended even if I keep you as the co-host, and we will have to rejoin with a
Yeah, but there is no use if you keep me as a co-host because it is getting disconnected. Because you are leaving the space. That is why.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem. Okay, let's wait a while. Let's see how it goes. Anyway, we will have to wait for people to join for some time. So let's wait with a little broken voice. If it doesn't resolve, then I'll probably I'll probably restart. I mean, with a new fresh link because I just don't understand. I restarted my router. I restarted my phone just minutes before I started the space at 8 p.m. So even after taking so many precautionary steps, if the network ditches, that's
It's
really
fine now. I
sad.
think it's work like you're audible now.
Okay, great news. Thank you. Okay, Amrita, Parna, Anna, all are back, and um, let me invite you to speak. Mitibadi and welcome to our space. Thank you for joining. So this is our poetry space, and anytime you want to say anything, share your thoughts, please do feel free to send me a request. We can invite you to speak. So earlier what I was saying is that I'm really sorry that I couldn't manage today to have a guest poet for our space today, the new section that I had added in this season. Uh, all the poets whom I had approached, none of them actually responded, but one did, and he did just minutes before the space started. So it's too early for him to, jump in immediately. So probably in the next spaces, probably one of the spaces he might be joining. I'm hopeful, but this section has really helped me to understand one thing, that there is probably quite a dearth of published poets these days, or there is probably, I mean, whoever writes are all scattered in different platforms or even are not in platforms. So poetry now very scattered. So this is what I am able to understand through this section. I mean, I'm going through Amazon books, poetry books. I'm going through Instagram. I'm going through Twitter accounts, searching through hashtags. I mean, all sorts of things I can do to search poets who might be interested in joining the spaces as small as ours. And whoever I am asking to, please redirect anybody if you know anybody is a struggling poet or a budding poet or a published or about to be published poet who wants to have a platform to voice their poetry and share their journey to me. But most of the places, most of the people are saying no. We do not know anybody such. So that's something really sad. But I'm still hoping that we are having for this second season. We have a target of completing 15 total 15 spaces. So out of the remaining, how many? Three. Today it's three done. So out of the remaining 12, I hope we will be able to have as many points as possible. So please do let me know if you know anybody, and we can then have them. Welcome, Kitivas. Thank you for joining. I'm inviting you to speak. And even I have come across some of the poets who write really well, great poetry, but they are probably not willing to come in the forefront in the spaces, or a kind of writing as probably ghostwriters or with like in a public forum. So I have come across poets like that as well. So I don't know why that is so, but this is how it is. Yeah, so I'd like to hear from all of you. We have now almost 9 people in the room. Thank you everyone for joining. I don't know, Shayan, and any news you know about Shayan? Shagun, I haven't been able to talk to him past 2 weeks. So do you know, will he be joining or anything?
Are you asking me?
Yes, Shagun.
Yeah, no, I have no idea about it. No idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, we'll probably start in then 5 minutes. Let's wait for Suman and Manoj. Okay, and please, Amrita, how are you? I haven't heard your voice for so long.
Hi Didi, am I audible?
Yes, yes, perfectly audible.
Hi everyone, I'm really excited to know more about Rabindranath Tagore, especially from you as you are like a devoted student. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. That makes me, I can't express in words. That makes me feel so good, even if somebody is willing to, I was just thinking, because that was the second space topic. If I think Kittivas was there, and nobody else among you, other than Anna, was there when we were hosting the space. And it was, the topic of the space was this topic. Anna, do you remember exact sentence? Anna or Kittivas? Mm.
Hi Didi, can you hear me?
Yes, Kittivas.
Hi Didi, how are you?
Going on, Kittivas, by God's grace. How are you?
I am also good Didi, by God's grace.
Yes. So I was just trying to recall the name of the topic. It was somewhat related to let me check my notebook. Why am I not checking my
You
notebook?
recited a poem like Kripon, I remember.
Amrita's voice is breaking for me.
Is
Is
it
it
audible now?
okay for everyone? Are you able to hear her? Hello? Hello?
You're audible Didi.
Okay, I was not able to hear. I don't know why. So, rediscovering the old great poets was the name. Amrita, were you saying the same topic name?
Yes, I think in that space you recited Kripon from Rabindranath Tagore, I think.
Yes,
That was
yes.
beautiful.
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
I think your network is weak again.
Something wrong is happening again.
Yeah. Your voice is cutting.
Hello.
Yeah, you're audible now, but there are some glitches in between, like when you speak.
Okay, Harsh. Thank you. I don't know what's going on today. Anyway,
I think you can
it is
start.
just. Hmm. I don't know. It is just not letting me hear it properly anytime Amrita is trying to speak. I'm really sorry about that, Amrita. Both the time I missed what you said, but
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
yeah. So I was just trying to say that rediscovering the old great poets was the topic, and I had thought that that is a single topic that would cover one single space. But as I delved deep in preparing for the topic, I realized that it's such a huge topic, and it's just impossible to cover even a single poet in one session. So I had a list of poets, of 10 world renowned poets, out of which, I mean, many of them we have read poems about. But after doing this 12 number of poetry spaces, I have realized that just by reading their poems is not enough. Probably to have to grow the love for poetry, we also need to know the poets a little more better about their life, how they were uh, apart from their poetry. So those things would also add up to our love for poetry. So, and of course, I mean, I am just fond of knowing about these great men. I don't know, nothing inspires me more than their lives, and that is why I decided to have a series to know, like as you can see in the name, Know Your Poet series. So welcome, Bhairav. Thank you so much for joining. Anna, you move to listener spot again. Let me add both of you. Mm, okay. So it is 8:30. We will gradually start. Probably we spoke with almost everyone. Bhairav,
Akka, when I am in the
are you not able
listener's
to get?
spot, I am able to hear it properly. When I switch
Hmm,
to speaker spot, I am not able to hear much.
hmm. Why is it happening like this, Anna? I don't know. Parna is continuously.
I think there are a lot of network issues everywhere because maybe somewhere some parts have it has rained or something.
Okay, sad, but let's start. Yeah, Shagun?
When your voice is cracking now.
Oh God, today it seems that this thing will only go on. I have a lot of things to share today, and the network is really needed to be good. Okay, okay. If my voice is breaking, it's better that I'll hand over the mic to somebody who can share their poems, because the first section that we have is the guest poems section, which is for 30 minutes. So, any topic, not having any particular topic as like that. I mean, it has to be found by that topic, nothing like that. So, any one of you can come forward and please share your poem. So, please feel free to unmute yourself and share any poem. No one?
Okay, so I'll go.
Yeah. Yes,
So,
Harsh. Absolutely.
okay.
Thank you so much.
So, before I share my own writing, I have this wonderful writing by Bashir Badr. I thought I'll share this in today's space.
Could you come
The
with the name again? Oh, what is that?
Bashir Badr.
Bashir Bhadra. Okay, okay.
Badr.
Thank you.
He's a very well-renowned shair and writer.
Okay.
So that title, I see. I'm not sure if most of the people here understand Hindi or not. I so it is in Hindi और उर्दू का थोड़ा सा भी उसमें use है. So I'll
No
just go.
worries. No worries. Just do one thing. After you recite it in Hindi, just try to explain that in English as well, so that others who do not understand Hindi can relate.
Okay. So the title is पिया बाज प्याला पिया जाए पिया के नाम. पिया बाज प्याला पिया के नाम. So पिया बाज प्याला. It is too complicated to these turn these things into English. I'll just go on. लगी दिल की हमसे कही जाए ना. लगी दिल की हमसे कही जाए ना. गजल आंसुओं से लिखी जाए ना. अजब है कहानी मेरे प्यार की. अजब है कहानी मेरे प्यार की. लिखी जाए लेकिन पढ़ी जाए ना. सवेरे से पनघट पे बैठी हूँ. सवेरे से पनघट पे बैठी हूँ. बिन घघरिया भरी जाए ना. न मंदिर न मस्जिद न दैरो हरम. हमारी कहीं भी सुनी जाए ना. न मंदिर न मस्जिद न दैरो हरम. हमारी कहीं भी सुनी जाए ना. खुदा से ये बाबा दुआएं करो. हमें छोड़कर वो कहीं जाए ना. खुदा से ये बाबा दुआएं करो. हमें छोड़कर वो कहीं जाए ना. सुनाते सुनाते सहर हो गई. मगर बात दिल की कही जाए ना. This was written by Bashir Badr when he was really young. And one more poem which Bashir wrote when he was like he was 10 years old. जिसकी वजह से उनके पापा ने उनको मना कर दिया था कि यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू गो इनटू पोएट्री. तो उन्होंने 10 साल की उम्र में ही लिखा था, हवा चल रही है उड़ा जा रहा हूँ तेरे इश्क में मरा जा रहा हूँ. तो ये 10 साल का बच्चे लिखते हैं. So you can imagine the level of composure which he was having at the age of 10th. And after hearing this, his father said, you're not going to be into the writing space. And soon after, by some God forbid, some unfortunate incident happened and his father was no more. Then he again started writing and all those. Then he became a big name in Pakistan and India. Bashir Badr.
It was probably very great. I say probably because Harsh, after the first stanza, I couldn't hear anything, just nothing. It was dot silence for me, and I was just not able to even make out that if you're really speaking or not. If you're waiting for me to, I just looked at the mute button that you have muted. That now I got to know like you are probably not speaking now. So
So no
I'll
one,
have
no
to.
one heard. Like,
No, no, no. I heard, and it was saying that this poet at the 10, he was on a such a height where he could actually express feelings throughout. I mean, this has a little notes of Sufi, if I'm not wrong, but yeah, but it was really beautiful. I heard the entire this thing. It was very beautiful. It is like genuinely, deep here. So yeah, it was well seen. I'm very happy after so long time. I could genuinely see feelings in the poetry. Fabulous.
Great. It's great to know that others could hear. It was network issue from my end, that's why I couldn't hear. So, Harsh, would you mind to repeat it once again? Just the Hindi version will be enough for me. I know Hindi.
okay, okay, I'll go again. लगी दिल की हमसे कही जाए ना. गजल आंसुओं से लिखी जाए ना. अजब है कहानी मेरे प्यार की. लिखी जाए लेकिन पढ़ी जाए ना. सवेरे से पनघट पे बैठी हूँ. सवेरे से पनघट पे बैठी हूँ. पिया बिन गगरिया भरी जाए ना. न मंदिर न मस्जिद न दैरो हरम. न मंदिर न मस्जिद न दैरो हरम. हमारी कहीं भी सुनी जाए ना. खुदा से ये बाबा दुआएं करो. कर वो कभी जाए ना. सुनाते सुनाते सहर हो गई. सुनाते सुनाते सहर हो गई. मगर बात दिल की कही जाए ना.
Wow. I mean, this poetry, this kind of pieces actually rise from sheer depth. So deep poems. I mean, this just speak truth and then do express that uh, love like this are actually inexplicable. So, I mean,
I'll
this
also
poem,
one more reason,
yeah,
like you searched for
yeah,
poets and all people like who are not ready
hmm,
to come. You said there. So there are
hmm,
two kinds of people. First
hmm,
kind is like कोई दूसरों के लिए लिख रहा है, so I'm writing for
hmm,
publication. Suppose my game is to publicize and to gain fame out of it, so that kind of game. So, but what I write is my own personal experiences, so I feel kind of shy in sharing. Like, I don't know if maybe other people will be able to relate to it, but sharing was
hmm,
not the first goal of writing. The goal of writing
hmm,
was to express my sorrow in terms of writing a little bit
hmm,
better. So I've been
hmm.
advised by my closed ones to not write anymore because I get sad when I write. So I'm following their advice for a month now.
No, no, nothing like that. I get your point, and that is probably something that this kind of thought actually probably crosses most of the uh, minds of writers, or probably the, I mean, people belonging to genre of poetry. Because when I was also starting to publish my writings, even in social media platforms initially, not in publishing a book. Publishing a book came much later. But even when the jump was made from the diary to, say, Facebook platform, where only I have my friends from school, college, office, and all, family, there also I was quite hesitant to share my poetry because, you always know that whatever you are writing, people would think that that is coming from personal level of experience. So is something of that sort happening with the person's life is most of the times a question from the people. So uh, that is also very tricky space to handle because not always it is just personal experience, that can be a sheer observation from somebody close, or even if it is a very intimate experience. Also, poetry does give us scope to wrap it up in a manner that it would say the message behind the details of your experience out in the open. So that is how probably I came over it. But many feel it probably they want to keep it, you know, to them, and they write with pen names. So yes, Shagun, you are raising your hand. Please go ahead. Am I not audible?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
actually in between.
No, no,
I
no.
was just, yeah, I just went offline for some time. Yeah, I wanted to say I wanted to say something to you both guys, Sonali and Harsh, that since Harsh said that he's not currently doing anything like without since he's having some family pressure or something, or maybe he's not allowed to at home to write for himself or something. I would just like to say that whatever thoughts you, whatever experiences you guys might have gone through, putting it in writing, it's better because sharing is also good. I'm not saying sharing is bad or something, but I would just like to say that if you guys want, if the thoughts are not penned properly, or if the thoughts are just randomly, we just have sometimes our brain just has an habit of uh, just shooing it away. It's okay that we don't want to. But I think is that you should always pen down your thoughts, and if you feel like that those thoughts are, or those words of poetry are have the wisdom to be shared, then only you should share it. Because these are like what we write, what we think, those who are connected as in terms of, I will say, poets or any writers or whatever it is, they always say that no, that it should be like to be shared. But I always say that if certain things are not meant to be shared, it should be having within you somewhere, because then you should not think about the obligations from your closed ones or something that you shouldn't write or something. I always encourage this, and I will also keep on encouraging further because I also write sometimes.
Yes, perfect. I can see Anandaji raising your hand. Please go ahead and share your thoughts and welcome to our space.
Hello, good morning, Sonali. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me and giving me this opportunity to speak. I just wanted to address a profound thought that I believe that's Harsh shared with the group, and it was about writing and your intention and your purpose. And you had stated that there was a reluctance to share because you said that it was for you and mainly for expression as opposed to for fame. And you know what, I think that that's awesome. Writing comes from some of the most unexpected streams. We have writers like Emily Dickinson, where this is a well-known writer, one of the greatest poets ever. And the majority of her work, she didn't necessarily write that with the intention or create with the intention of the world seeing her work. It's just that her work was so profound, it ended up being published and shared with the public. Same thing with William Shakespeare. I always tell people, for me, I don't necessarily think William Shakespeare wrote these beautiful 5-act plays for us to be sitting in a desk now in schools and reading them, but yet we are, right? So something that I wanted to say to you is no matter what your intention is, please know though that dream of beauty and experience that your writing comes from or that your poetry comes from, never be ashamed of it. Like right now I'm in a book study, and a saying that came out of that book study is inspired experiences are caused by inspired thoughts. And you never know who you might be inspiring with your livelihood that you're sharing with another soul through your poetry. So please be encouraged and don't be reluctant. Bless us, bless the community that you're part of, and just share, because there are so many world-renowned writers out there who their intention, like Emily Dickinson and William Shakespeare, who may not have necessarily had the intention of someone sitting down in a desk and studying their work, but yet we're doing it. We're being inspired by them, and we're being influenced by an energy that's going to last for eternity. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Anandji. The points that you spoke were so valid and so, very great points that you brought in. And thank you for so much for adding. May I just know, did you join the day Nikki joined our space, or Nikki, Nikki, if I'm not wrong?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
Sonali, I had the wonderful opportunity to join you guys that day, and you brought up some of
Yeah.
your favorite influential writers, and it really resonated
Hmm.
with me. So thank you so much for having me that day.
Thank you so much. I didn't know that. I mean, I usually keep an eye at who knew or not, and I make it a point to invite them in the next space. I don't know how I missed you. I'm really sorry about that, but you are going to be there from my next spaces onward invitations. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Bhairav, yes, please go ahead. You want to say something?
Akka, and hello everyone. I want to share a poem written by Rumi. So can I share it right now?
Sure,
Okay,
Bhairav ji.
okay. So the poem goes like this. The title is Secret Places. So it is like this. Lovers find secret places inside this violent world when they make transaction where they make transactions with beauty. Lovers find secret places inside this violent world where they make transactions with beauty. Reasons say, nonsense. I have walked and measured the walls here. There are no places like that. Love says there are. Regions, regions sets up a market and begins doing business. Love has more hidden work. Halaj steps away from the pulpit and climbs the stairs of the gallows. Lovers feel a truth inside themselves that rational people keep denying. It is reasonable to say surrender. It is reasonable to say surrender is just an idea that keeps people from leading their lives. Love responds, no, this thinking is what is dangerous. Using language obscures what Psalms came to get came to give. Every day the sun rises out of the low-word clouds into burning silence. So I don't know how much you can resonate with this poem, but it is a poem upon love and reason. So intellect and the heart. So for poets, the heart is very important, and uh, what heart feels. Sometimes reason cannot feel what heart feels. Like we can reason that love is a chemical. Because of chemistry, we can feel sweetness of emotion. We can say it is chemistry or so on. But heart is whatever we feel when we are in love. That is actually undescribable. So where intellect stops, there because poetry is the way to express whatever we are feeling inside our heart. So for me, poetry is poetry is better than intellect. Uh, so that much I have to say.
Lovely, great. I mean, great poems that you have brought in, like both Harsh and Bhairav. Thank you so much. I mean, Rumi is also very, very well-renowned poet, and thank you so much for reading those two out. And this is so important to note one thing, the best thing that poetry does probably that it makes you think, and thinking is probably the best capacity of human being that sets humans apart from any other creatures in this world. So it is so much thought provoking. When you were reading, see, we all might be thinking in our own minds that yes, reason is more, more important, or the feelings of love is more important. So everybody has a way to, probably we have subconsciously thought about it. Sometimes some of us might have consciously thought about it. Sometimes some of us might have never thought about it. But this kinds of poem does trigger and let us understand that what is the distance between the intellect and the feelings. Where does these emotions reside, and where does this the reasonings reside? What is the distance of these two houses? So this is again so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Bhairav. And Harsh, you when wanted to say something when Anji was saying. I saw you raising your hand.
Yes, I was just like say that she mentioned like correctly. Most of the greatest work that is being published here right now, and that will be published in the future, or any explorations in science or tech or religion or spirituality, was because people did those things for themselves. When Einstein was trying experiments, or Edison was doing those experiments on bulb or electricity, or Tesla was doing those things, they were not doing it for publication. They were not doing things so that the world will know them. They were doing things for themselves. The world later found that, oh, this is treasure. Let's put this to the world map. So this is what I feel. If I have this getting huge famous uh, billboards of me and my writing, I have this aim of publishing great books, so I lose the intent. So what I bring in my writing will be commercialization, and the moment you drop commercialization into a poet's feeling, it's a very mixed world. So that creates very raucous feelings in the audience as well and the writer as well. It's like you adding water to your milk and then selling it to customers and expecting them to enjoy it.
Very truly said, Harsh, and I agree. I mean, I totally agree to whatever you said. It's just now, as you just mentioned about Albert Einstein and anybody else, like that's so true. Even it triggered me to remember the movie that I had watched, the Man Who Knew Infinity. His mathematician. Can you please name him? I'm just forgetting his
Ramanujan
name.
ji.
Mr. Ramanujan.
Ramanujan. Yeah, yeah. So. His life was like that. I mean, he found spirituality in his mathematics. Like he was almost on the verge of dying. He was having tuberculosis, and still he was on and on with mathematics.
So there's
So,
this very famous line of his: if a mathematical
hmm,
equation does not represent a thought or an expression of God, there's no point
hmm,
in it. I do not believe in
yes,
that equation.
yes. And this gives me goosebumps, Harsh, when you said that, because I clearly remember this being uttered in that movie, and that movie did move me so much because these are words of, you know, virtue. I mean, these are just not words, these are real wisdom. Like uh, definitely we can never I mean, this is reward mechanism, right? If we are chasing being famous, and if we are chasing, you know, making money, then this is not about art at all. And even if you want to make money, there is art in making money as well. So if you are after the art, then money will come, fame will also come. That's the outcome, but that can never be the goal. If that is your goal, then it is a lose-lose situation. Like you are never going to produce anything good enough, and nobody else will consume it, and you know, it will be a long-lasting something that could contribute to the world ever. But said that all, one thing which I feel is, um, through our journey, we do through all kinds of arts that we are getting involved in life, be it poetry or anything. Just as Anji said, that you will never know whom you are helping out through your journey. So it's also very important that not because you want to be famous, but it's also very important that at a certain point of time, probably when it has not crossed the line of your personal life, whatever you create should be out there in the world. I mean, it should not be hidden. You should not be feeling ashamed, is also very important, because there's always some inference drawn from everybody's experiences, and if that helps somebody in understanding, in getting a clarity about life and the existence overall, then it is always a noble thing to do. Yes, Harsh, go ahead.
So I have one more poem to share, but more see, I always write in Hindi. I cannot express my feelings in some other language. Feelings are best expressed in your native language, native tongue. So we can do an exercise here. People who are fluent in both the languages, even though I think I am fluent in English, but the translation part is very tricky. So the translation part is
You can
like
do
very
you
tricky.
can do one thing, Harsh. I mean, what I usually do is, you need not translate it exactly, but explain it in English.
Okay.
The
I think
the charm of
someone
it.
from the audience or you
Hmm.
or somebody else can take the charge. So it will be a good exercise for you to
Okay.
translate.
Okay, fine. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sure.
Okay. So this, I wrote this when, mm, okay. Hmm. I don't know if I read this in previous space or not because there can be some overlapping. Go
Problem.
go like मैं सपनों का राही और तुम वास्तविकता की उड़ान प्रिय. It's so tough. It's going to be a tough job to translate this one. मैं सपनों का राही और तुम वास्तविकता की उड़ान प्रिय. मैं गणित की उलझन और तुम हिंदी जैसी सुलझन प्रिय. मैं नासमझी का शिकार और तुम समझदारी की मिसाल प्रिय. मैं एक लेख और तुम उस लेख का भाव प्रिय. मैं किताब जिंदगी मान प्रिय. तुम मेरा लिखा हुआ ज्ञान प्रिय. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, and really, I mean, dipped in love. Nice one. Here, Anandji would not understand, Kit not understand, understand. The rest will know they are. Translate exactly. I won't demean saying that, but I will try to explain that in English. But for that, you have to help me with repeating the line, couple of lines, uh, step by step. Harsh.
Right. So, okay. मैं सपनों का राही और तुम वास्तविकता की उड़ान प्रिय.
Okay. So what I understand till now is the theme of the poem is he's trying to compare his personality type with the type person he is in love with. So he is drawing that contrast, and in drawing that contrast, the first line that he speaks about is that he is a dreamer kind of a person, and the person he loves is a very reality oriented person, very practical kind of a person. Am I right, Harsh?
Yeah, correct. So it's like I always live in my dream world, but she is more in the reality phase of world. So there's very we both live in different worlds. So there's a contrast in our feelings as well. So the next line is मैं गणित की उलझन और तुम हिंदी जैसी सुलझन प्रिय.
I your voice just broke. Can you come again?
Okay, so I'll go on. मैं
Hmm.
गणित की उलझन और तुम हिंदी
Hmm.
जैसी सुलझन प्रिय.
Okay, that's very sweet. Okay, I don't know how many people would think that Hindi is very simple. Okay,
It's like it can be done in native tongue, whatever the person's native tongue is.
yeah, yeah. So in the second line, he tries to say, he makes the comparison saying that the person he loves is as complicated as mathematics, and
No, it's me
he
who's
oh
complicated. She's
sorry
simple.
sorry sorry sorry, I reversed it. So he is complicated like mathematics, and she as simple as beautiful, as plain as Hindi.
So it's like
Hindi is
I'm
the
as
language.
complex as those
Yeah.
alpha, beta, gamma mathematical equations, but my love is very simple, just like the native language which she speaks.
Yes.
Next line is मैं नासमझी का शिकार और तुम समझदारी की मिसाल प्रिय.
Okay. So here he is trying to say that he is quite immature, and he is a victim himself of immaturity, and she is an embodiment of mature decisions, somebody who makes very much mature decisions, a very matured approach towards life.
Yeah. मैं एक लेख और तुम इस लेख का भाव प्रिय.
Lake, I do not understand, Harsh. What is it?
So I am I am an open letter to the world, but you are the meaning of that letter.
Wow.
So it's like that. And the last line is मैं किताबे जिंदगी मान प्रिय तुम मेरा लिखा हुआ ज्ञान प्रिय.
मैं किताबें, come again?
मैं किताब ए जिंदगी मान प्रिय तुम मेरा ज्ञान प्रिय.
Okay. I
So
don't think,
it's
yeah.
like कि okay, so I'll go. So
Hmm.
I am the book which everyone is trying to read or write, or everyone's trying to chase this particular book. I am that kitab is in the book of life, but you are the knowledge in that book which I have written. So my book is incomplete without you. You are the knowledge of my the book of my life. So that sums it. Very
Okay.
poor poor noob translations, but please forgive us.
Yes, Shagun, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I got a call from my father, and then suddenly power cut. And in between the conversations, I was trying to pull back. So now I have come back. Although I don't have the power still, I am on my mobile data, but I'm trying to speak. Here, this Harsh's poem was a beautiful comparison of how two things have come together, and how these things are incomplete without each other. A wonderful, wonderful poem it was. So yeah, and I guess I can understand the way Harsh writes and everything, because what pure Hindi, what we have, even I have also learned in my school. So yeah, he's recollecting those memories of mine of, like, pure Hindi. So yeah, it was a very well written thing. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And what I felt nice about his poem is just he was not drawing a contrast. He was also, in that poem, there was a tone where was the appreciation uh, in the, an underlying layer of appreciation. Uh, he, as a lover, is appreciating that difference with his lover. So that is so very important in any relationship. We all know that, but it is always we come across so many difficulties to understand that, to appreciate the differences between two individuals and still stay so much in love with. So beautifully done, Harsh. Thank you so much for
Did
sharing that.
Anandji and Bhairav like could take something like can they share like
Wanted
कुछ
to say
समझ में
something?
आया like even one line?
यस हर्ष भैया बहुत बढ़िया पोएम था। और जैसे आप बोल रहे थे कि मैं किताब हूँ और उसका मर्म जो एसेंस है वो कोई दूसरा है, तो मतलब आप डुअलिटी को जोड़ रहे थे, तो मतलब एक तरह से बढ़िया था। और तो मैं भी कनेक्ट कर पा रहा था। तो मैं मैं खुद मतलब ऐसा हूँ कि मैं थोड़ा, जैसे आप बोले कि एग्जिस्टेंशियल रियलिटी के ऊपर, पर ऐसा दोनों मतलब साथ में जुड़े हुए ही हैं। आप मतलब कोई ड्रीमर है और कोई एग्जिस्टेंशियल मतलब ट्रूथ के ऊपर, वो ट्रूथ के ऊपर बेस करता है, तो उसका मतलब अंडरस्टैंडिंग ट्रूथ बेस्ड है। तो दोनों लग सकते हैं कि दोनों अलग है, और दोनों में मतलब हर चीज में कनेक्शन है। और अच्छा था, बढ़िया था। और क्या बोलूं, बढ़िया पॉइंट था।
And that was a really nice way of appreciating Bhairav. Okay, and Anandji wanted to say anything? Okay. Amrita, do you want to say something? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so everybody is silent, whoever I'm calling out, so that's why I was thinking. Anyway, uh, Kitivas, do you want to share any of your poems or anybody else's poem that you have in your minds?
Didi, only I have the Tamil poem that I wrote. No.
Okay, please go ahead. No issues.
Okay, Didi, once again.
You can also sing a Tamil song.
Hello? Yes, Anna? Hello?
Harsh, you said something to Kitivas?
Oh, so
Yeah, I
sorry.
said like he can even sing a song like even though we won't understand, but we can enjoy the tone. I love
No,
enjoying the tones which I don't understand.
I have a what to say? I have a terrible voice, so I don't want to risk your life. So I'll just read out my poem, bro. One second, Didi, I just got here it is. And this is how it goes. Am
Yeah.
I audible?
Yes, perfect.
Cool, Didi. என்னை நீ விரும்பினாய் உன்னை நான் நெருங்கும் வரை, என்னை நீ விரும்பினாய் உன்னை நான் நெருங்கும் வரை, என்னை நீ அறிந்திட துடித்தாய் உன்னை நான் விரும்பும் வரை, என்ன வசியம் செய்தாய் உன்னை மட்டும் நினைக்கும்படி, உனக்காக நான் இங்கே பறவையே நீ எங்கே. Can you guess? It's okay, Didi.
Pagun Nano.
Okay, Harsh
Sorry, I
knows
got it.
Tamil.
Shall I translate it, Didi?
Anna,
Yes,
who is
please.
the writer?
I think Anna would understand. No, he's so Tamil. So I think.
Yeah,
No, no,
but
no.
Anna is.
I am from Odisha.
Oh, it's Bhairav. Sorry. I just thought it's Anna. No, your voice and Anna are similar, so I thought it's Anna. Sorry, bro. Okay. I'll just என்னை நீ விரும்பினாய் means you liked me. நான் உன்னை நெருங்கும் வரை you liked me until I what to say approach you. என்னை நீ அறிந்திட துடித்தாய் உன்னை நான் விரும்பும் வரை. Just want to understand and about me a lot until I liked you back. And என்ன வசியம் செய்தாய், what did you do, what magic did you do, what magic did you do that I keep on thinking about you. And உனக்காக நான் இங்கே, I was waiting for you, but பறவை நீ இங்கே, where are you bird now. I hope everybody understood it.
The last part I didn't get. Could you come again, please?
Last line Aditi.
Yes.
Like என்ன வசியம் செய்தாய் உன்னை மட்டும் நினைக்கும்படி. And like what did you do, what magic did you do that I was keep on thinking about you. And உனக்காக நான் இங்கே, I was waiting for you here, but பறவையே நீ இங்கே, ஆனால் sorry, where are you now bird. Like I was waiting for you but you're not here, where are you bird.
Okay,
You
I
just
think I have.
fly away.
Is it written by you?
Yes Didi.
Oh my God, that is the question that Bhairav was asking, right? That who is the right poem? So
Yeah,
you
it's
should.
coming to Kirtivas.
Coming from Kirtivas, wow.
No sir, Didi, it's
Clap.
coming to Kirtivas.
Really nice one. Sweet one. Just speaks about your age, your feelings about love. Very sweet one.
Thank you Didi, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Okay. And anybody else want to share anything, any poem? Anna, you are in the listener spot. If you want to come back to the speaker spot, please send me the request. It's really hard to not hear you speak. So let's try again. If it's better now, you can hear being a speaker as well. Let me send you the invite. Yes, Bhairav, go ahead.
Didi, I have very short poem of Rumi. Earlier one was longer, so it is a very short poem. So
Go.
it is doing as others told me, I was blind. Doing as others told me, I was blind. Coming when others called me, I was lost. Then I left everyone, myself as well. Then I found everyone, myself as well. So it is this.
Bapre. Can you please repeat that one?
Okay. So it is written by Rumi. It is like this: doing as others told me, I was blind. Coming when others called me, I was lost. Then I left everyone, myself as well. Then I found everyone, myself as well. तो इसको मैं हिंदी में बोल सकता हूँ. तो हिंदी में ये ऐसा है कि जैसे दूसरे बोल रहे थे और मैं कर रहा था, उस समय मैं अंधा था, और जब लोग बुला रहे थे और मैं चला जा रहा था, तब मैं खोया हुआ था. पर उसके बाद मैं सब कुछ छोड़ दिया, खुद को भी छोड़ दिया, और उसके बाद मैंने सब कुछ पा लिया, खुद को भी पा लिया. I don't know if you can it can touch you.
Yeah, that's tremendously deep, and probably that goes in the direction of probably it says about detachment, finding oneself after detaching. Probably the subject of the poem is this, if I am able to understand. Correct me if I am wrong, Bhairav.
Akka, so it is like the essence is like this, like we are doing, actually we feel like we are doing by our own selves, but those things are actually told by others. So time we are actually blind when we are doing whatever is told by others. So we don't know that thing, but we are doing it. So we are blind. Then whoever is calling us, we are going. Like some friend called me and I don't know. Then I am just going. At that time I am lost, so I am going somewhere, I don't know where I am going. Then Rumi is saying, uh, he realized this, that he is going and he is lost and he is blind. So after that, after realizing this, he left everyone. He left himself also. Like this is a little spiritual. Then I left everyone, myself as well. Like he also left himself. Like all the things are happening within us now. That me, I am doing this, I am doing that. So he left that identity of him also. Like you left your identity as Sonali the writer. So like that, he left his identity also. And after that, he found everyone. He also found himself. It is like that we don't know ourselves, but then when we na, so after some time, uh, we will ultimately find ourselves. I cannot explain it, but the poem is
Yeah,
like this.
yeah. Got it, got it. Yeah, that is, I mean, similar to what I said, is finding oneself after detaching. Okay, Harsh wants to leave now. Okay, Harsh. So he has left. Okay, now, thank you very much, Bhairav, for sharing that poem. Beautiful one, both the poems that you shared. So, should I read out one of my poems or should I go to the next section? Please tell me.
No, please read out your poem. I want to hear.
Okay, okay, Shagun, thank you so much. Um, page 111. This poem is one of my poems from my book, and it is a dear poem to me. I loved it after I wrote it, so I would love to share this with you. So this poem,
Your voice is cracking. Not able to hear you.
um, my voice is breaking.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah, but your voice is breaking, Sonali.
Aha, my voice is breaking. Then to that is problem. Okay, let me still try because
Now it
even if we
seems
move
clear.
clear, okay, okay, thank you. So this poem was written in third July 2018. So here it goes. The teacher, and it's a conversation between teacher and kids in a classroom. So a teacher with excitement in her voice says, I'm sorry, that I could not give a screenshot of this poem so that you can have a view of it, because I was thinking to do that with Srikar, and Srikar is not well today. So I'll just probably post it later on. Uh, Teacher with excitement in her voice, I have an interesting game for you all today. Kids all together in harmony. What's that, ma'am? Teacher says, I have this huge magic with me for all of you. Kids say again together in harmony. What's inside that box, ma'am? Teacher says, it has inside it all the words of the world. Kids surprised. Wow. Teacher says, each of you have to pick up a word or any number of words that you like from the box and keep it or them in your heart. Kids were all surprised and feeling entrusted. One kid said, but ma'am, there's no hole in my skin so that I can keep the words in my heart. Everyone burst out laughing. Another kid said to that kid, Oh, not like that. Like our teacher says, we are in her heart. It is like our mother says, we are in their hearts, like that. Teacher said, exactly. You have to attach those words with you. So be careful while choosing the words. Kids came one by one to the box and took their own long time to select their favorite words. One kid said, I have kept my chosen word in my heart, ma'am. Do you want to see? Teacher laughs and says, I will of course see, but not today. Another kid said, then when will you see it, ma'am? Teacher, with a silent smile, says, I will see it the day you have become the words. I repeat, the teacher with a silent smile said, I will see it the day you have become the words. After a pause, the next stanza of the poem, an old man on his deathbed says, that's cut to in a second scene of the poem. An old man on this deathbed, on his deathbed, says, and the game never ended, ma'am. After a pause, he continued, before we could attach ourselves to people and things around, you made us get attached to the best meanings of the world. And we spent a lifetime in becoming the words for the whole world to see the meaning of those words come alive. That's all. That is a little challenging just to read out and hear. It's probably visually more appealing than hearing. So I hope you got it. I can't hear any of you.
Yeah, yeah, I heard it.
Okay.
I think, Sonali, I have to leave because again we have a power cut over here, and I don't know whether now when it will be back. I don't know.
Oh,
So
okay,
if I'll be
Shagun.
able to connect back, I will definitely connect because otherwise, the battery issues, right, of the phone. So yeah, so that is why. Yeah, if
Sure,
I'm
Shagun,
able
no
to
problem.
connect back, I will. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much,
Sure,
everyone,
sure,
and
sure.
have a
Thank you
good
so
evening.
much
Yeah,
for joining.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yes. So, please let me know if you need me to explain anything about the poem or any portion if you want me to repeat or it's
Didi, I'm
okay.
audible.
Yes, Amrita, now you're audible.
Could you repeat like the last stanza? Actually, I had some connection problem.
Okay, last stanza. Okay. So, in the second scene of the poem, it goes like an old man in his deathbed says, and the game never ended, ma'am. After a pause, he continued, before we could attach ourselves to people and things around, you made us get attached to the best meanings of the world, and we spent a lifetime in becoming the words for the whole world to meaning of those words come alive. That's all.
Sonali, I have a question. What inspired that poem?
Sorry, could you please come again?
What inspired that particular piece, the creation of it?
Okay, that's a very beautiful question, Anji. Uh, Back in 2018, usually very strangely poems do appear to me, and in this particular poem, what my thought process was behind is if you see, most of us actually live, whatever meaning we hold in our life very dearly, very close to our heart, we live by that. We become examples. If there is no personification of each and every word, then it actually doesn't properly express the meaning of any uh, worldly existence. Worldly, not worldly, worldly existence. So from that thought process, it evoked in my mind that uh, what if a teacher thinks in that manner, that to invoke in a child the importance of living a meaningful life and give them the right words to choose from. Like, you have the bunch of words, you have the ample opportunities to select and follow your life through, living exactly the way you believe. So having that thought planted when you are just a child by a teacher, and to make them understand that uh, this is so important, to whatever you choose, you leave by it. So that is how I actually thought of it, Manji.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Something that I like to pass on to others, as far as the learning process is concerned and the environment in which we learn and a healthy learning
Hmm.
environment, it would be like I live by this saying that questions create our world, and more questions about words create our
Hmm.
world as well. And I think that is
Yes.
just so profound, what inspired you to create that piece. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anandji, that you found value in this poem. Actually, you know what I feel at times, that we, all of us across worlds, across the entire world, know. I mean, we know the common word, love. We know the common word, goodness. Fine. Now, the problem comes where, suppose for you goodness is something, and for me goodness is something else. For you love is something, for me love is something else. So definition of the same word becomes different for different people, and that is important to understand, because otherwise what happens, two different persons defining differently the same word might think that they are thinking alike, but maybe the truth is they are thinking completely different. They're perceiving the truth completely in a different, from different angles altogether. Then there will be complete conflict. So it is very important that we get the meaning of a word very early at age, and we practice that in our character, in our life, so that our life in itself, exhibits that meaning. Uh, you become an embodiment of that word, so that if somebody asks that what is the meaning of this, like, if we ask what is love, probably we have an example of mother, that mother love is a very high form of love. So that becomes a personification of a word, right? So in that manner, if we are able to identify at the very early stage of our life the importance of a word in life, then it is probably helpful for everyone. That is why I took it in the classroom. Okay, thank you so much. So I'll, yes, Ananji.
Didi, I just wanted to add something.
Yes, Amrita.
I read a book like ago about how words really shape our identity and our
Hmm.
values towards life. So yeah, it's a very well written. It reminded me of that. So yeah, beautiful written.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Amrita. Thank you. Yes, Ananji.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Sonali. You know what, that point that you made really moves me. And it reminds me of a scene in a movie where there's a man and a woman, and they're in like a market, and the man had never tasted a pear before, and she was picking through some pears, And the man looks at her and says, "What does that taste like?" And then she says, "It tastes like a pear." And he didn't want her to like realize that he had never tasted a pear before. And he says, "Well, what does a pear taste like to you?" Right? There's just this romantic notion in the description of how we perceive things. And I think that that's why that piece that you just read for us really moves me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ananji. This really means a lot. I mean, the success of any poem, I wouldn't say even a poet, I would say the success of any poem is when when the person you are reading it for can see the same view the writer had seen, right? So that's, if we resonate, that's the best thing. So thank you so much. Okay, I'll now probably move to the next section, a very exciting section that I was myself waiting for. I worked hard for that section today. So this is the POTT section, poem of the day section. Usually in this section, I read out one of the poems that I choose of the old great poets. But today, since and also we have a guest poet section, but since today we do not have a guest poet with us, so we have an additional time from that section borrowed. Uh, and poem of the day, I am currently going by the topic that is Know Your Poet series. So, Know Your Poet series, what I did is simply Googling and going through websites is not a good enough research to, you know, if you really want to seriously dive deep into some topic, no, Googling is not going to really help. You'll have to go and get your hands dirty in amongst the books. So there is a street in Kolkata called College Street that's very famous for books. There are lots of bookstores, very great publications around there. A big street or thousands of bookshops. So stacked. So I went there with the thought in my mind that since Tagore, though no other reason behind, just the main reason I chose Tagore because you all know that Tagore is the closest poet I know. So he is probably the easiest one for me to approach first. So I thought, why not? I take a book, get a book on his life. And you won't believe me, when I went for that research, I realized that even in Kolkata, where literature is highly, respected, where people call it a land of literature, you won't believe that the poet section has really reduced. The big showrooms were having a very small cupboard for poetry section. And also, another notable point was that most of the racks were filled up with old collections of poems, like 100 best poems across the world collection, 50 best love poems, classic poems. All the poems that we are already discussing in these past few spaces about by the old great poets. So the same was the picture in the market as well. I was shocked because there is so much scarcity about, of the published work by the current new poets. I could see the names of John Keats, William Blake, W.B. Yeats, William Shakespeare. All those names were there, but these are all old great poets, right? Very few, very few. And that is where my heart broke a little. I felt that there is much that we need to do about poetry, and we need to really, who really love poetry, need to really work hard so that the racks in those stores do not go blank after a few hundred years. So that's very important. And coming back to the book I purchased, it made me run through quite a few bookstores, and then I found this one. It's a biography of Tagore by Krishna Kripalini. And I never heard the name of Krishna Kripalini, and I was a little susceptible to buy this because I never knew him. But I bought it because that is the only single piece I could see after a search of around half hours in the market. So I picked it up. Then I saw who is Krishna Kripalini. He was born in 1907 and he died in 1992. He was a freedom fighter. Okay, and he began his career as a teacher in Shantiniketan. Shantiniketan is the place most of you might be knowing is the Vishwabharati University that Rabindranath Tagore had established. So Shantiniketan is the place around that, and he was a teacher between 1933 and 1941. He worked in close association with Rabindranath Tagore. So when I read that line, oh, I was very happy because then if he has been so close to Tagore for so many years, so that could be the very good biography. And he did edit the Vishwabharati quarterly journal that was started by Rabindranath Tagore himself. He was the first secretary of Sahitya Academy from 1954 to 1971. He was a nominated member of Rajya Sabha from 1974 to 1980 and also a Padma Bhushan recipient. He was also the chairman of National Book Trust India from 1980 to 1985, and a few of his most important books that he had written were Gandhi Alive, Gandhi the Modern Mahatma, Rabindranath Tagore, a biography, Dwarkanath Tagore, the Navya Ram Mohan Roy to Rabindranath Tagore. So these are a few of his most important works. So let's begin. It's a quite a big book, and we will go by sections like that would cover different stages and you know of the life of Tagore. So first chapter speaks about ancestry. That is the how the family line of Rabindranath Tagore begin. So Anna, if you remember, you had once suggested me the um, topic of the day as live reading of something. Today it's kind of a that thing is going to happen. I'm going to read out this chapter. So let's start. Anna, if you want to join as a speaker, let me know. I have also sent you the invite to speak. Okay, so I'm starting here. The centuries follow one another, perfecting a small wild flower. These are the two opening lines, just in bold lines the biographer had mentioned. History and legend, fact and myth are so inextricably blended in Indian tradition that, yes, Anna, do you want to say something? Oh, he got disconnected. That it is not always easy to say where the one ends and the other begins. And so when we trace the genealogy of even such a remarkable family as the Tagores, we are soon lost in the mists of popular tradition and family lore through which we have to pick our way gingerly backwards. By the middle of the 8th century, after a long period of political unrest and religious and social chaos, Bengal was consolidated as a powerful Hindu kingdom. This much is history, well corroborated by textbooks. Now the legend. To restore the purity of Hindu society, corrupted by Buddhist anarchy, 5 Brahmins were imported from the western kingdom of Kannauj, which was a stronghold of Brahminic culture. The progeny of these 5 Brahmins, whose names are remembered to this day, made the new racial aristocracy of Bengal, which has continued since then. Historians have little to say to this interesting and colossal yognik experiment Bengal what it is. However, one of the five Brahmins was named Daksh and is reputed to be an ancestor of the Tagores. History is full of ironies. At the end of 12th century, Bengal was overrun by Turco-Afghans from the west and in course of time came to be ruled by as a province of the Muslim emperor in Delhi. Many Hindus were converted to Islam, some by force, some lured by greed to share the power of the new masters. A Brahmin adventurer in love with a Muslim girl was clever enough to kill two birds with one stone. By voluntarily adopting the new religion, he got the woman he desired and rose to be an influential dignitary, the Diwan of the Muslim governor of Jashore in South Bengal. His new name was Pir Ali Khan. Two of his trusted officers were the Brahmin brothers Kamdev and Jaidev, descendants in direct line. After many generations and vicissitudes unrecorded by of the goes. During the observance of Ramzan fast, seeing Pir Ali Khan smell a lemon, Kamdev jestingly remarked, according to our religious code, smelling is half eating. You have therefore violated your fast. Pir Ali Khan said nothing, but having been born, the words rankled in his mind. Some days later, he invited the Brahmin brothers with several other Hindus to a music concert in the governor's palace. Adjoining the hall where the audience was listening to music, a feast of choice Muslim which included beef was laid on the table. When the smell penetrated the concert hall, the Hindus began to feel uneasy. Pir Ali Khan smilingly remarked, if smelling is half-eating, as your religious code enjoins, you have all tasted of the forbidden food and have lost your caste. A panic ensued, and the Hindus fled, covering their noses. But the stigma remained. Since then, the Tagore family is said to have fallen in the hierarchy of caste and is referred to derogatively as Pirali Brahmins. Having lost the purity of caste, the family found it difficult to live in a community which gave it little quarter. The predicament was particularly galling when it came to finding suitable husbands for the daughters. And so the family from their ancestral home wandered from place to place, each member seeking fortune for himself and husbands for the daughters. He would be a bold Brahmin who accepted the daughter of such a family. Such a bold fellow was one Jagannath who married a niece of the ill-fated brothers Kamdev and Jaidev, whose indiscreet jest had caused all the trouble. Jagannath Kushari had to pay a heavy price for this temerity, for he too was obliged to leave his home. It was a descendant in the middle line of this bold and rash man who is said to have founded the Tagore family. His name was Panchanan Kushari. Exile and social persecution had made the descendants defiant and adventurous. Having lost the pride of caste, they lost their fear too, for not much else was left to lose. Since they could not be more holy, they decided to be more human and seek the other good things life and the times made possible. Adventure was in the air. Unheard of things were happening in the country. White men from across the seas had opened a factory and trading center on the banks of the holy Ganges, and such was their power and prestige that even the Muslim rulers thought it prudent to keep on good terms with them. So Panchanan and his uncle Sukhdev left home in the last decade of the 17th century, as their forefathers had done earlier, and settled down in a village called Govindpur on the bank of the Ganges, not far from the British settlement. Govindpur was at that time a small fishing village whose inhabitants were all of the so-called low caste. Seeing a Brahmin family settle in their midst, they felt elated and gave the uncle and his nephew all the honor due to their caste. Panchanan was always addressed by them as Panchanan Thakur, as the Brahmins are often addressed even to this day. He had found a lucrative occupation in supplying provisions to the foreign ships that sailed up the river. The British and other foreigners had thus ample opportunities of dealing with him and naturally assumed, as most foreigners would still do, that Thakur was Panchanan's surname or family name. So they referred to him as Mr. Thakur, and unable to articulate the unfamiliar name, pronounced it as Tagore. The family prospered. Its fortunes were from the beginning linked with the rise of the British power in India. As this power and commerce grew, what was originally a group of fishing villages became the rich and prosperous city of Kolkata. And the fortune of the Tagore family grew with it. The descendants of Panchanan Thakur became merchant princes and the landed aristocrats. The family fortune reached its peak in the life and career of Dwarkanath Tagore, the grandfather of poet Rabindranath. Born in 1794, Dwarkanath was only 13 years old when his father died. Handsome, versatile, and enterprising, he was a romantic figure who was in an earlier age would probably have carved out a kingdom for himself and become a prince. Prince, however, he came to be called because of his magnificent way of living and his large public charities. Extensive business covered many fields: indigo factories, saltpeter, sugar, tea, coal mines, etc. He owned large agricultural estates in Bengal and Orissa, a fleet of cargo boats that plied to the British coast, and founded the first modern bank with Indian capital, known as the Union Bank. All these multifarious concerns he controlled through his firm, Car Tagore and Co. He lived lavishly and entertained regally. The aristocrats of those days lived a double life. At home in the joint family, the orthodox and traditional ways of life were maintained, and the household deity was scrupulously worshipped morning and evening. Outside the family quarters were spacious reception rooms and banquet halls hung with chandeliers, where the master of the family entertained his friends and visitors, where wine flowed freely, where the ornamented hookah, was always ready with fragrant tobacco, where famous musicians vied one another in displaying their virtuosity, and the professional dancing girls their charm. In the heart of Calcutta, in the quarter known as Jora Shako, the family mansion of the Tagores still stands now, a seat of learning, a grateful nation's monument to Dwarkanath's illustrious grandson. What no longer stands is the stately edifice with which Dwarkanath had built on the adjoining land, where he entertained friends and guests and all the leading lions of the then ruling society of Calcutta. No less lavish and extravagant were his charities. There was hardly an institution or cause to which he did not give generously. He helped in the founding of the National Library in Calcutta, as also the first center of modern education in India, the Hindu College, in 1816, which later grew into what is now known as the Presidency College of India, Presidency College of Calcutta. He was actively associated with the establishment in 1835 of the first medical college and hospital in Calcutta, which is today a vast network of hospitals and a major center of medical education in the country. He gave free scholarships to encourage students to take up the study of medicine, and in order to break down the Hindu prejudice against dissection of dead bodies, he would himself be present in the room when the dissection took place. He was the first Indian member and patron of the Asiatic Society of Bengal, founded in 1784 by Sir William Jones. Many of the leading scientific institutions of today, like the Archaeological Survey of India, the Zoological Survey of India, the Botanical and Geological Surveys of India, as well as the Indian Museum of Calcutta, the oldest and biggest in India, owe their origin to this society. On the eve of his departure for England, a contemporary English journal published in Calcutta wrote, "To describe Dwarkanath's public charities would be to enumerate every charitable institution in Calcutta, for, for from which to them, for from which of them has he withheld his most liberal donations?" It was not only that he gave of his wealth generously and wisely, he stood up bravely in the teeth of popular opposition for every social reform and progressive movement of his day, religious, social, and political. He was a faithful friend and staunch supporter of Raja Ram Mohan Roy, that remarkable religious and social reformer and visionary whom Indian historians have described unanimously the father of modern India. The prince had a shrewd political sense, and though he recognized in the establishment of the British rule in India a historical necessity for the consolidation of his country into a modern nation, he was one of the first to organize public opinion and bring the influence of the new rising interests to bear on the good government of the country. To cross the seas in those days was for the Hindu much more than a mere adventurous voyage. It meant a revolutionary act of defiance against society, for there was a taboo against sea voyage and severe penalties were prescribed for the culprits. Dwarkanath went to England twice, in 1842 and again in 1844. The well-known Orientalist Friedrich Max Müller was then a young student in Paris studying the Rig Veda under Professor Burnouf. In his autobiography, Max Müller has borne testimony to the vivid impression left on his mind by his chance encounter with the lively and versatile personality of Dwarkanath in Paris, and has described the splendid party given by Dwarkanath to Louis Philippe of France, when the room was hung with Kashmir shawls afterwards distributed among the most distinguished guests. Dwarkanath did not return home from his second visit to Europe. Like his friend and senior contemporary Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who had died in Bristol 13 years earlier, Dwarkanath died away from his home in London on 1st August 1846 at the age of 52. In a full-column obituary notice in its issue of August 3, 1846, the Times London said, "Perhaps there is no individual in India, be his rank or position what it may, who has more largely patronized the advancement and fortunes of the many around him. And we believe there are not a few now in India and England who owe entirely to Dwarkanath Tagore the blessing of their present success and independence." He left behind three sons, of whom the eldest was Debendranath, father of the poet Rabindranath. In his own way, Debendranath was even more remarkable than his fabulous father. As the father had come to be known popularly as Prince, the son came to be known as the Maharshi, for he was both saint and sage. Though born of Dwarkanath, he was truly the heir and spiritual successor to Raja Rammohn Roy, whose mission he continued and made fruitful. His personality left a deep impact on the intellectual development of Rabindranath. Born in 1817, Debendranath was brought up in circumstances of increasing luxury, which reached its peak when he attained his youth. The pampered darling of a wealthy father and a doting mother, and uh, there's a noise. Okay. The pampered darling of a wealthy father and a doting mother, and a still more doting grandmother, he grew up as a willful young man, and for some time he gave himself up to a life of luxury. But not for long, for the crisis came early and suddenly, when he was only 18. His grandmother was on deathbed, and had to be removed to a tiled shed on the bank of the Ganges. For to die near the holy river was what every pious Hindu desired. For 3 nights the grandmother lingered on, during which Debendranath was with her almost all the time, spending lonely weird hours of the dark in the imminent presence of death. On the night before her death, as he was sitting alone by the river, he was suddenly seized by an intense spiritual elation and he lost his normal consciousness. When he recovered it, I was as if no longer the same man. A strong aversion to wealth arose within me. The coarse bamboo mat on which I sat seemed to be my fitting seat. Carpets and costly spreadings seemed hateful. In my mind was awakened a joy unfelt before. In his autobiography, which he wrote many years later, he has described vividly his spiritual hunger, his search for truth, and the birth and growth of his faith. It is a remarkable document which Evelyn Underhill has described as one more amongst the small number of authentic histories of the soul. One more amongst the small number of authentic histories of the soul. On his return home, he gave away many of his personal possessions to and others, but merely divesting himself of material possessions brought him neither joy nor understanding. He studied the sacred books of his religion as well as books of Western philosophy, but found no satisfaction. A great grief was in my heart. Darkness was all around me. The temptations of the world had ceased, but the sense of God was no nearer. And heavenly happiness were alike withdrawn. Life was dreary. The world was like a graveyard. In this state of mind, one day all of a sudden I saw a page from some Sanskrit book flutter past me. Out of curiosity, I picked it up, but found I could understand nothing of written on it. He sent for a well-known Sanskrit scholar who identified the text as the first verse of the Isopan, Isopanishad and explained its meaning. All this, whatever moves in the moving world, is enveloped by God. All this, whatever moves in this moving world, is enveloped by God. Therefore, find your enjoyment in renunciation. Do not covet what belongs to others. Therefore, find your enjoyment in renunciation. Do not covet what belongs to others. This came as a revelation to the young devotee groping in the dark. My faith in God took deep root. In lieu of worldly pleasures, I tasted divine joy. When I had thoroughly entered into the Upanishads, and when my intellect began to be daily illuminated by the gift of truth, I felt a strong desire to spread the true religion. And so, on the very day of the year 1839, when the Hindus of Bengal celebrate the annual festival of the goddess Durga, Debendranath called his friends and followers together and formally inaugurated a purely theistic association dedicated to the worship of a universal and formless divinity that informs all life and being in accordance with the teaching of the Upanishads. This faith, at once old and new, was a challenge to the current Hindu dogma and ritual which centered around the worship of a deity's image. Indeed, even as Devendranath was invoking the new faith, the gongs and the cymbals were sounding in his own family mansion, where the worship of the goddess Durga was in full swing. He was powerless to stop it. Raja Ram Mohan Roy had founded in 1825 the Brahma Sabha as a meeting place for all people, irrespective of caste or race, for the worship of the one true God, without the use of any images or symbols or any sectarian ritual. But the movement had languished until this young, intrepid mystic, with the sure instinct of a religious reformer, amalgamated in 1843 his newborn Sabha with the older organization and renaming it Brahma Samaj, turned the meeting place into a movement and what was little more than an intellectual club into a vigorous center of a dynamic faith. While Rabindranath, got intoxicated, was laying the foundation of a reformed church, the father continued to dazzle his countrymen with his ostentatious ways. He would have liked his son to share his glory and to continue the family tradition of making and spending wealth, but the son was occupied with an altogether different mission. The father was naturally disappointed and annoyed. As it is, he heard for business. He remarked at one time, now he neglects business altogether. It is nothing but Brahma, Brahma the whole day. Nevertheless, the feelings between the two were not estranged, for the son continued to work in his father's bank while giving more and more of his time, resources, and zeal to what he felt was his life's goal. One shrewd precaution the father did take. Not knowing how his vast and fast expanding business, delicately poised on credit, would fare in his son's hands after his death, he made a trust of some of his landed estates, making the sons beneficiaries to ensure that they would always have an assured income, whatever ill luck might overtake the business. A superb gambler, he knew that fortune was an uncertain mistress. And so it proved to be. Soon after Dwarkanath's death in London, it was discovered that the firm's liabilities far exceeded its ready assets. There was a rush on the bank, and the famous house of cards Tagore and Co. had to close its doors. This crisis showed the metal the sun was made of. He called the creditors together, placed all the cards before them, and announced that though in law the creditors had no rights over the trust of property, he and his voluntarily renounced their claims to the benefit of the trust until the last rupee of the liabilities had been paid. Having thus reduced himself and his family to utter penury, he felt the strange joy that comes of renunciation. What I had desired came to pass. I wanted to renounce the world, and the world left me of its own accord. What a singular coincidence! He was not, however, reduced to penury. The creditors were impressed with his integrity and allowed him and the brothers a fair monthly allowance, and after some time handed over the management of the entire property into Devendranath's hands. It took him many years of judicious management and frugal living to pay off all the compounded debts. Not only he succeeded in paying off the debts with interest, but he even made good all the charities and donations which the prince had hastily and too generously promised before he left for England. The Maharshi travelled widely in India in those days when journeying was full of hazards and was a real adventure. Almost every year he left his home and travelled over the western plains to the Himalayas. Like the rishis of old, he loved the lofty snow-capped mountains. He was a keen observer of nature and men, and his autobiography is full of vivid descriptions of nature and shrewd observations on men and events. Before one such visit, undertaken at the end of 1856, he had for some time been overcome by a persistent and morbid sense of world weariness and had longed to retire for good to his beloved Himalayas. He had intended not to return to his family but to spend the remaining years in quiet contemplation. It is worth relating why he failed to keep to his resolve. One day, in September 1858, he was walking over the mountains, as was his wont, and stopped to enjoy the sight of a waterfall. He was led to muse on the blind destiny of the waters, so clear, cool, and beautiful there. But as they entered the plains, they would soon come muddy, dark, and soiled. And yet, muddied and bereft of their pride, they will fertilize the land and help mankind. Suddenly he heard a voice within say, give up thy pride and be lowly like this river. The truth thou hast gained, the devotion and truthfulness that thou hast learned here, go make them known to the world. Escapism was alien to his robust nature and philosophy. He obeyed the command and returned to the world of his duties in Calcutta. Though he continued to travel and visit the Himalayas, he never again thought of escaping. He lived to a ripe old age, lived to see the sunset of the last century and the sunrise of the new, lived to see the religious and social he had started gain such momentum that it left him far behind, a solitary peak on the frontier between the old and the new. The end of the first chapter. Please speak out. I have been speaking for so long.
I was not able to listen the whole long part. So I cannot comment on upon it, anything.
Okay.
Can you repeat the line from Isa Upanishad, that Rabindranath Tagore learned for the first time? There was a line na, that God is enveloping everything, something like that.
Yes, yes, got it. Just give me a minute. Let me turn the page and find it out. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So the lines were all this, whatever moves in the moving world, is enveloped by God. Therefore, find your enjoyment in renunciation. Do not covet what belongs to others.
Okay.
Okay. So everybody, so much of silence. Let me understand. Like, what's the feedback? I know that's a tough read. I know that's a tough read. I had to concentrate a lot while reading. So you, of course, have to concentrate a lot to even hear. But that is an ample amount of information lying there. Did you just feedback so that I understand what I am doing?
Yes, Devi, it was quite interesting and captivating. So I enjoyed. Am I audible?
Yes, Amrita. Amrita, am I audible? Then I can see muted. Probably you are speaking on mute.
Yes, Sonali, you're audible. We can hear you. But I think, Amrita, there's some static there. I think that's what's going on.
Okay.
What I got is that you were telling about how Rabindranath came, like his family tree, and then they were wealthy, and then suddenly he turned towards spiritual aspects of life, like he was searching for truth, and at last some realization came to his mind to speak about the truth. So he wrote those Gitanjali or other books. I think I understood
No,
like that.
Bhairav. No, no, no. Absolutely not. Because Tagore has not even come in this chapter, Rabindranath Tagore. This chapter
Okay.
talks talks about the line of his ancestors. Like it talks a lot about his grandfather, Prince Dwarkanath Tagore, and then about his father, Maharshi Debendranath Tagore, what all they did, what Dwarkanath, or what all kind um, I mean, generous charity he used to do, and how his entire business had contributed to the entire Indian wealth generation. And then how Debendranath Tagore was more into spirituality and how he practiced renunciation and again then went back to his world of duties to continue what his father did, and alongside also have the Brahmo Samaj go on uh, by side. So it was talking a lot about all these details. It's more, I mean, kind of a historical look of that period. So what I understand, this chapter is 10-page long. Okay. So to be able to cover it within time, I read it very fast because otherwise we can't complete at least one chapter a day. So what I understand from your feedback, okay, Amrita, her voice was breaking, so she wrote something to me. Let me check. Okay. Okay, Amrita, I would just want to understand, as you were saying that history was quite interesting and captivating. So I just want to understand that were you able to grasp that it was talking about the grand of Rabindranath Tagore and the father of Rabindranath Tagore and their journey? Amrita, am I audible? She is again writing. Okay, fine. So maybe if this remains like this, then I'll do one thing. I'll also make a summarized note of the chapter so that it becomes easier to understand. Okay, I understand this much. Anjay. Yes, Ananji,
Yes,
please go ahead.
Sonali, you know what I'm thinking? I know that a lot of the time during long readings, know that Twitter and even Instagram has been a little quirky lately. But I'm thinking that some people might benefit from having like a copy of it posted in the nest or something like that to make it a little bit easier to follow along. But I know that that's a lot to post, that's a lot to unpack. So I'm thinking, I don't think it's anything that you've done. I think that was a beautiful piece. I just think that it's easier to recall when you can see it visually.
Hmm. Very valid point, Ananji. I'll do that. I'll probably scan all the pages and then make a tweet and then share in the nest so that it helps visually. Thank you very much for that feedback. Then this first chapter, I think you could not enjoy well enough as much as I did because I was looking at it and reading. So it is not that all part of it I also understood initial a few part of the story telling I also couldn't because I was reading fast, but a lot of the part I really enjoyed. So maybe I'll make a small summary next day when in the beginning of the second chapter, I'll talk, I mean, like a bullet point, mention, recap this, and uh, as you said, sharing the second chapter in the nest, and then go with the second chapter. So yeah, Anna, do you want to join as a speaker? How can you spend time being just a listener? I have invited you to speak. Okay, I'm
I'm so
saying.
sorry, Sonali. Did you call me?
No, no, Anandji. I was calling Anna. Um, Anna means Subramanian Swami.
Gotcha. Okay, I just want to make sure. I don't want to be rude. Thank you.
No, no, that's really nice of you. Thank you so much. Yeah, Anna, you are a speaker now. Please share your thoughts.
Whenever that is the problem. I don't hear much when I come to my speaker, but it was a long one. Uh, we could not concentrate much of it because you're talking about Tagore's grandfather, and then after that you came to his father, and you were talking about Raja Ram Mohan Roy and his that Brahma Samaj, and I think it would be better if you summarize it instead of such a long version. It is a little difficult to follow it.
Hmm, got it. So next time, what I would do, I mean, I do not want to. Yes, as you say, summarized version, of course, that would help. But I do not want to really want to make you miss the beauty of this read because that's a very well written book by Krishna Kripalani. I hope you understood the introduction that I gave regarding the writer of this biography.
Yes.
So, okay. So I'll do one thing. Next day, as Anandji suggested, I would share the pages in the nest so that when I read, you can read along. And of course, the summary will also be there so that it becomes at least if you are not able to follow, you can at least get the information. Just giving information becomes a little dry. When you read in a book, it becomes a storytelling kind of a thing, so it becomes more beautiful. So I do not want to make it very dry and just informative kind of a session. That's why I want to keep the reading part as well, but I'll try to make it better in some way or the other.
Actually, it was a little dry. Actually, because listening to a story, actually, that is a different one thing. But when we listen to this type of this narration, that
Hmm.
we need a lot of this thing focus on it. And
Hmm.
one moment of this
Concentration.
thing gone means we can't. That's what something
Yeah.
that Bayer was saying
So
that it was
this.
about Rabindranath Tagore. Actually, he told that Rabindranath
Hmm.
Tagore has not yet entered the picture.
Hmm.
So this confuses us that.
Hmm. So these things actually do not come easy also. So it's better in a way that also like when I am reading, even if somebody is opening the door, my concentration, got divided. So it is, for me, you can imagine how much more difficult it is, like for
Yes,
you
yes.
hearing and missing. So I was just brushing my fingers on the lines as well so that I do not mess up with the lines. And I was speeding up also so that uh, it doesn't take more longer. So we'll have to do something about it, how we can improve or get the best out of this. Okay, I'll think through and left. Maybe he got this. Okay. Next, our section is of question of the day. Sorry, quiz on the poem of the day. So we do not have any poem of the day as yet. We are 10:20 p.m. now. So I can read out one poem if you want, or I can directly move into the quiz section. Quiz to what I read today, and an easy one if you have heard it properly. So, should I go with the quiz? Anna, Amrita, Ananji. Okay, I see a heart from Ananji. Okay, so my first question is who Krishna Kripalini? I already read that out, but how much you remember and how much you heard?
It is grandfather.
Oh God, don't shock me, Anna.
Am I audible?
Yes, Amrita.
Is that the author's name?
Correct. It is the name of the author who wrote this biography of Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, and this is not it. There is more to it. Can you remember anything more than this, Amrita?
I remember he was a freedom fighter who worked under Tagore, if I'm not wrong.
Right, a freedom fighter, and he worked with Rabindranath Tagore as an editor of his quarterly journal.
Right, right.
He was also a teacher in this Shantiniketan.
Right, and much more.
And he was a Padma Bhushan award, I think.
Hmm.
He wrote some book
Padma.
on Gandhi ji. I remember that.
Yes, correct. Thanks. Thanks. And he was the first. Okay, I won't say that. Padma Bhushan recipient. He was a nominated member of Rajya Sabha, a teacher of Shantiniketan, a freedom fighter. Yeah. Next question: where did he deserve? Where? Okay, you already answered that. Where did he serve as a teacher? So he was a teacher in Shantiniketan. Third question: how is he associated with writing?
Pardon?
That is also answered actually. How is he associated with writing? So he wrote many biographies of Mahatma Gandhi, then Dwarkanath Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore, Mohan Rai. He wrote all the biographies, and he was also an editor. So that way he was associated with writing. And do you remember what was the name of the quarterly journal that Rabindranath Tagore used to publish?
Any clues? Come.
Clues. Um, okay. I'll give three options. Uh, Kobi Chobi Quarterly, Vishwabharati Quarterly, Shanti Shri Quarterly, and Chintamani Quarterly.
I think the second one, Vishwabharati Quarterly.
Yes, Amrita, correct. Last question. How is Krishna Kripalini associated with Sahitya Academy?
He was the secretary of the academy.
Not um, okay. And right? You don't speak. Okay, and anything else you want to share, say, please feel free.
Didi, am I audible? Were you saying something? I missed it.
Okay, no, I was saying that, I mean, that is all. We have completed all the 5 questions and you have won the quiz, but I cannot send you the prize because you have already bought the bought whatever I send as prize. So I was asking that we are almost close to the end of this space today. So do you want to say anything?
We had some connection issues, but the poems that were recited earlier was very like it was beautiful, and your poem as well on that, especially on that words that you recited. And yes, I really had a good time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Yes, Anandji, would love to hear from you as well.
Yes, I just want to thank you, Sonali, for this space and just for all of the hard you're doing to prepare all of this. I know that's a lot. The planning is a lot of work, and I'm just so appreciative of it. And I'm very appreciative of everyone that I met here today. And I look forward to spending some time with you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anandji. And that's really encouraging, the words that you said. And, please do keep coming back. That makes all of it meaningful. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense that whatever I am doing or we are doing all together. But yes, if we value whatever we have, like these poems, then it makes all the difference. Thank you so much. And Anna, any last word from you, or we will close. You're in a listener spot. I have sent the invite again for you to speak. I don't know why you were losing the speaker spot again and again today.
Yes, because I was just a mute spectator all the time and not able to
Yes.
connect and speak.
Hmm. Yeah, so what are your thoughts? Do you want to say anything towards the end of the space, or we can wind it up?
Okay, and I appreciate your effort. You're taking so much pains to make it happen.
No, I mean, that is not very much. Thank you for valuing and appreciating that. But, you know, the more important thing is that you enjoy, all of you connect, resonate, relate to whatever I'm trying to do. And that is more important to me.
Actually,
So until
I
and unless,
enjoyed Harsh's poetry and Bairov's
hmm,
poetry.
hmm. And you did not enjoy my poetry?
No, of course, enjoyed. Yours was a long one, that narration. So you're not able to.
Narration, but that is, I would say, as a strict teacher now, that is not the fault of the narration. You have to be, I mean, you have to increase a little bit of, probably we will have to work on that as listeners and readers as well. I loved the suggestion that Anandji said, because she is not completely negating on this reading session. Reading sessions we have to continue if we want to learn about poets. Just think about the theme of this topic, right? Know your poet series. How are you going to know that? I mean, if you want to visually do it, YouTube videos, then somebody has to read it, then make a video out of it. How will you make a video out of it? How will you show Devendranath Tagore or Tagore. You'll have to make animation videos out of it, or at least you will have to have somebody in the talking all the same thing on the camera in a simpler language maybe. But anyhow, if we go to the reading session, it will increase our, fondness to the topic, our dedication to the topic, and probably then we will be able to go further deep. Because as I said in the beginning, that when I went to the college street, the market today, I didn't see much of poetry books of the contemporary poets, and all the poems, all the books were from the old centuries. And again, I searched for the biographies of different poets. I somehow managed to get Tagore's biography in Kolkata itself, the place where Tagore belongs to, where he was born. In that place itself, the biography was, I had to search for around 1.5 hours. And just think about the other poets. I'll have to make a search for them. I don't know where will I get them. So if we do not increase our hunger for this, just thinking that it becomes boring or tedious to keep listening to in a very focused manner, it becomes difficult to do that, then we are not probably going to achieve this. I will try to make it as easy as possible, that's for sure, with the visuals, but and also the summarize. But also we will have to, as readers and listeners, have to make an effort to not make it an excuse that long things need attention, so I do not want to attend. That is not a that's honest feedback from my end as a host or as a doer, I would say. Don't take it in a wrong way, but this is what I feel at times. Even when I get feedback about YouTube videos, also people do say that if longer the video is longer, then it becomes very difficult to hook the audience and keep the audience. We will have to rise beyond this if we want to achieve something beyond this. This thought process won't help. I read it. It was difficult for me too, but I didn't find it boring or difficult. It was difficult, but that didn't discourage me from continuing to do this. Is what my point is. Am I making sense, Anna?
Yes,
Do you
yes.
do you
Actually,
let
it
me
is
know?
your passion. Rabindranath Tagore's poems are your passion.
Yeah, not only Tagore's. Poems are my passion, but yeah, that is what I want to see in everyone, whoever loves poetry. So I'll try to make it more interesting in the next session. I'll try to make a summary. But before I do that, I will again read the chapter probably, because I do not want to take the Krishna Kripalani's, I'm doing it from the book, right? I'm not taking it from different resources. When I do it from different resources, I accumulate information, then it becomes completely curated by me. But since I am doing it from the book, the credit has to go to the author, right? So if I'm not reading his lines, it becomes a little disrespectful towards him, is what I feel. So I might do one more thing, that I divide the chapter into 2 halves so that we uh, make it, in 2 spaces, one chapter, so that it becomes smaller and easier to understand. So let's see. It's an experiment anyway. Nobody is doing these things. We are doing first time. So hits and miss will be there. So, and I'm sorry if I couldn't entertain you enough with poetry and love for poets today. Okay.
Okay.
Anna said, okay. Nothing more. Like an obedient student. Okay.
I could feel your words.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Hello.
Didi, now you're audible.
Okay, I mean, suddenly there is lightning and the power cut is there. So I lost connection. I thought the space have probably ended automatically, but it did not. Good. Okay, thank you very much for staying so long and I mean for joining the space. And Anandji, thank you very much that you cared to join, even though I mean, I will make sure that from next time I share with you the invite. And Amrita, thank you so much that you, after a long joined back and you enjoyed. Thank you very much. Anna, thanks a lot. You have again moved to listener spot, but yes, thank you for your relentless support. And thanks to everyone, whoever joined and is not there anymore in the space now. Bhairav, Harsh, Shagun, everyone. So thanks. That's all for today. See you next time. Good night and good day, Anji. Bye.